As far as I can see now, our infantry have advanced across the open cornfield and into the wood. The artillery is putting down a concentration behind the wood, and one of our tanks over on my right has just fired a couple of rounds 250 yards from where I am. Further over to the left, I can see streams of tracers still cutting into the wood over the heads of the advancing troops. The concentration of artillery going down on the far side of the wood is intensifying every moment. There you can hear machine guns firing from a hedgerow about a couple of hundred yards up from where I am. There's so much smoke and dust rising from the cornfield that it's impossible to see where our infantry have got to. And there are 3 or 4 tanks, all of them firing, and just then there was a huge explosion on the road about 300 or 400 yards from where I am. One of our tanks has just caught fire, and every second or so a huge tongue of flame is leaping up from it. The wood is now absolutely enveloped in smoke. Germans seem definitely to be falling back.
And the game is underway.
Tonight, DarkSide brings you
countdown, and we've got these sounders playing in the background. Wonderdog, you are in game with the 10-second countdown. RTCW explodes. Take away the action, Wonder. Here we go.
All right, well, with Abuse being on the Axis side, I'm watching them all run out of the spawn point as quickly as they can. We'll see where each player is headed to. Number of people, they are going to split their forces, it looks like, Warwitch. Both teams rushing off. This is Abuse heading off. It looks like they're sending the majority of their forces off to Tower 2. And a couple of players are kind of rotating around and making sure that they don't lose any more on Tower 1. They feel that DarkSide's going to come through Tower 1. And here they come. We can see some fire coming through. Shams is coming through the lower entrance to radar number 2, and he trucks out an airstrike right down by the truck, and here it comes. There's some explosions. Nobody dead, though. Now here comes the rest of the force coming in from the top side. We've got Shogun, Serge Shaftian, and somebody else who just died, who's down inside the room just right off to the front area of radar number 2. Abuse is now rushing in. Shaftian taking out a couple of players, and here comes a possible plan. Both players being killed, though, a defender and an offensive player. Shaftian coming in, finishing it off. Second plant being put out now. Abuse is in trouble on Tower 2. Right back to you, Warwitch. Take it away.
Right here with the carnage, right here with the action of World War II. They've got the plan, and it looks like DarkSide, the Allies, are in supreme control of Tower number 2. That means Abuse is going to need to fall back to Tower number 1. We're going to float here around Tower number 2 just for a moment to ensure it goes down. The red ticking clock of double dynamite plants. And in just a moment, you're going to hear the explosion. The Allied team have disabled the south radar, and it looks like, Wonderdog, we've got another plan. Pick up the action on Tower number 1.
Well, just like I said in the warm-up, Warwitch, the team that isn't able to recover quickly is the team that's going to lose tonight, and it looks like DarkSide's going to walk away with this one very quickly. They've got all sorts of gunfire covering a stick of dynamite that's on the outside. Lantern was trying to do some defense, defuse that stick of dynamite, but it's going to go. The Abuse players are not going to get there, and there goes the second tower. 2 minutes and 13 seconds. That is all it took for DarkSide. They were unable to recover. Stratmasters that DarkSide is, they had the tone lead. 2:17 is the time to beat.
What a time indeed. Let me check my notes very quickly. In last night's game, I've got to have them here somewhere, and it looks like I've thrown them out, of course. Very fast times were set last night, and the fastest time was 1:28 set by Empire. Taking a look here at the 2:13, 1:28 is the time to beat, ultimately, and we'll be back, Wonderdog and Warwitch, to find out what's going to happen. DarkSide now in a position to score. Abuse on the Allied team. They've got to beat the clock. 2:13. Back with more in just a moment.
And to our right here is a pocket of German resistance. It's just south of those little villages, the little village of San Contest and the others there, northwest of Caen. There the Germans are holding out. They've got some dug-in tanks, they've got perhaps a battalion or so of infantry. We don't know how strong they are there, but they're holding out stubbornly. And even now, at this moment, we're laying down a heavy barrage of mortar fire on them, preparing the way for our infantry to go forward. That whole area, is just a mass of white smoke now.
The entire area, the battlefield, a mass of white smoke and destruction as the game continues. Here's the rundown for you. We have switched roles. DarkSide takes the Axis defense. I favor the Zafira, and they are defending on the clock a 2:13 time set against the incoming allies. And they don't have much time, Wonderdog. I'm going to hand it to you as you pick up the allied action. Invasion continues, 1944.
150 left to go, and here come the Allied players. They know they've got to move quickly, but you know what? DarkSide is all over this. They are chucking grenades in left, right, and center. Valdez almost had a little near miss there. They are chucking in just tons of grenades trying to buy time. Here comes Code Red and Rimshot trying to get through. Rimshot taking out a couple of players. Now Valdez and Method are mixing it up along with Cancer. Cancer getting repaired a little bit. Jones is now back up on his feet. And most of the Allied players are down, but it looks like they're going to get the plant. Abuse is going to get the plant. Rimshot trying to get in and get that plant down. Jones being killed by, looks like Shogun. Shogun killing both of the players. Now he gets the second plant. The Allies are able to recover. 1 minute left to go. They have got to get to this second tower. Dynamite on Tower 2. They are trying desperately to get to Tower 1 as quickly as they can. Shaftian is there with pistol and Panzerfaust, as I would guess. They are dueling it up. The Allied players of Team Abuse and the Axis players of DarkSide mixing it up. Shaftian hovering inside, turtling like a little girl inside that tower. Now the one tower is down. They've got 9 seconds left to get a plant, and they could do it. Rimshot is trying to get the dynamite down, and he's done it.
He's got the plant, and he's got himself 30 seconds.
He's got the plant with 3 seconds to go.
Here is the chance right here that Abuse needs, indeed, to make it happen. 22 seconds on the clock. They can very likely beat the clock right here. Here come the incoming Axis DarkSide. They're trying to rush in. They're trying to make that disarm. They can't do it. 13 seconds. It looks like they've got it. It looks like they are going to beat the time. What an amazing offense. 6 seconds to go. 5, 4, and they've done it with 3 seconds on the clock. Out of nowhere, Abuse beat the clock, and they score themselves a point. What a show, Wonderdog. What a show. Abuse up 1-0, beating the fantastic 2:13 time from DarkSide. Wow. Wow.
This is how it went down for the whole round. DarkSide came in and set an amazing time to beat of 2:17. Now, they did it by sending a number of people to Tower 2 first, and then a couple of players went from below Tower 2, then up above, and then a number of people rushed in through above and took it down. Abuse did it the exact opposite way. Abuse sent in 3 players up the top, and then everyone else came rushing out the bottom and took out any sort of defending players. They had a really well executed strat. Abuse takes the win, 1-0, and the round I should say, not the win, and that was an incredible round. Now Abuse has the full 15 minutes to work with as they start on the Allied side. Again, that's Cujo, Citizen, Lantern, Code Red, Cancer, Method, and Rimshot. Shogun, Jones, Shams, Ionize, Sergio, Valdez, and Shaftian for DarkSide. 18 seconds left to go.
18 seconds, a very quick TSN sounder.
You're listening to TSN.
Yeah, we're back with 5 seconds on the clock in observation mode. The rundown once again for you now. DarkSide on the Axis defense and Abuse on Allies with the full 15 minutes on the clock. Wonderdog, we are witnessing amazing offense here this evening. Unstoppable juggernaut offense from both teams. Very short rounds can be expected here. And Wonderdog, I am over here on Radar 1. We've got some incoming Allied artillery strikes clearing off the rooftops themselves and the bridge that spans. More incoming airstrikes and artillery fire as the Allies are rushing now through the Tunnel of Death. They are meeting some heavy heavy resistance and a Panzerfaust by the field truck. We've got Method and Cancer now moving in, making their way towards the Axis barracks. They are facing down against Shogun, the Panzerfaust DarkSide Grenadier. Shogun is going to get machine gunned, and he's down in the field, a bloody mess of pulp, and the battle continues. What are things looking like for you on tower number 2?
Well, tower number 2, nobody really coming in. It looks like this was Abuse's plan all along, is to try and mix it up a little bit. They attacked tower 2 last time in strength, taking it hard, and now they're doing it the exact opposite way. And DarkSide isn't really responding to that. They still got 3 players over on defense on tower number 2, so advantage Abuse, but so far they were unable to get inside. Jasper pointing out in team chat that the medic lost the player. He got blown up with the Panzer, unfortunately, before he could get revived, get in, and clear out the active players. But here they come. Shafty had just doing a number on Code Red. Takes him out with a Panzerfaust to his own feet, clearing out a lot of enemy players in the process. Unfortunately, making himself into soup.
And
back to you,
there
Warwitch.
is a potential dynamite plant. Rim shot right there, trying to get the plant. Blows the mirrors out of the radar station. Blows the windows out. He gets the plant just in time, taken out by Valdez. And Cancer, the medic, is there to try to make a revival. Fighting off against the Lieutenant Valdez. The battle continues, and we got about 15 seconds until radar station number 2 is down. Looking for any Axis engineers. There's one. There's Jones. He's gonna get taken out by a grenade. He's got the pliers out, but the grenade takes him out, and his hands are blown clean from his arms. No time to disarm. Valdez evacuates the secondary radar station, and it goes up in flames as Wonderdog picks up the fun and the excitement on radar station 01.
Well, that was all happening at Tower 2. 2 allied players, Code Red and his friend from Abuse, came rushing into Tower 1, but Shafty was waiting right there with his Panzerfaust indoors, and you know what your mama told you, Warwitch? Never fire off your Panzerfaust in the kitchen.
That's
Didn't
right.
matter. He took out both of the allied players along with himself and bought the time that they needed for the DS DarkSide players to get back into position and recamp. This is the situation we were talking about in the warm-up, where if a team can respond quickly and not get overloaded on both towers, if they decide to protect both towers, to get back to one of the 2 that has not been blown yet, and are able to adjust and get your defensive players back into position, you can make life very, very hard for the Allies. Back to you.
Right here on the Axis defense, we have Shogun, DarkSide, Soldat, Panzerfaust, Grenadier. He's now looking down the tunnel of death. He's been doing his own devastation. And let me tell you what, the DarkSide defense is moving in an elegant fashion. They move like an ice skating or hockey team around each other, setting up in a fluid positions of Panzerfaust D, of Thompson and machine gun defense, and they are holding the bridge. They have got radar station 1 locked down. Now the Allies are on the far opposing side, and several of them take a Panzerfaust. I did not see which one it was, who was the Axis responsible for that. The Panzerfaust arcs across the bunkers and the buildings of this Axis structure, takes out several of the incoming Allies. Once again, keep in mind the Allies are, on this particular round, Abuse and the Axis defense DarkSide, and the war continues to rage. Once again, Wonderdog, very nice DarkSide defense. They've lost one objective, radar station number 2, but they are not going to panic, and they are locking down the defense here on radar station number 1. Daspira needs the documents to be transmitted, and they must be transmitted with 10 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. All you.
DarkSide is being given as good as they're dishing it out. It is an amazing slugfest of gunfire here. Shane's now hanging back as one of the lieutenants, dishing out some ammunition for his buddies, who is standing by radar tower number 1. Sergio as a medic. Shafty, again, trying to use that Panzerfaust a little bit, but now choosing to go back to Lieutenant Cancer. Takes him out with a nice stick of dynamite. And there's a possible plant going down. Not going to happen. They have recovered a couple of sticks of dynamite being thrown down as a medic comes in from the Allied forces to try and repair everybody, both engineers inside that Tower 1. Unable to do so, gets met with one of those nasty little sticks of grenade explosive action. He gets blown into smithereens. 3-for-1 deal right at tower number 1. Back to you. Things looking very secure for DarkSide.
Incoming Abuse offense in a very sporadic fashion. faltering and coming in a very chaotic way. They're now moving together in a group to the tunnel. Odette, a medic, is going to get shot down. Blood in the field, blood on the grass. And now the incoming allies are regrouping, going to make their way up to the second story, looking for them, have lost them here in observation mode. But they're coming in right there with the attempted plant around the backside. It's Citizen, the engineer. He is still alive. A Panzerfaust explodes near him, but does not take him out. Now the allies are behind the radar station itself. They're being chased, encircled, but discovered by Valdez, the Axis engineer, who takes them down in the field. And it's Axis firing squad time. Say your prayers and your last words, because the Axis take no prisoners. The war continues, 8:44 on the clock, and currently Abuse leads 1-0, but Wonderdog, plenty of time remains here in World War II action.
Abuse may have won that first battle, Warwitch, but right now DarkSide is winning the war with almost half the time gone off the clock. That is a good chunk of time for DarkSide to come back and even up this game 1-1. They are too good a team. If they get caught in the same... Right now, Abuse is struggling to get some guys in there. They've had one opportunity since both towers were taken out. And here comes a long-range mortar strike being called in from the long range of the bridge. They're trying to clear out any defenses that are up here. Long-range mortar strike has been called. All sorts of explosions going off. There's 4 of them going down in one huge explosion. Take it away, Warwitch.
The Axis take position on the large bridge that overlooks the Tunnel of Death. Little do they know that that position has been marked by the incoming artillery strikes of the American pigs. Just go down in flame. Panzerfaust and machine guns simply explode. No coming back from that. Now the Allied Abuse team control the entire structures opposing the primary radar station. It is a base-to-base battle. They are literally firing from one bunker to another on the second floor. It is a battle like the scene from Star Wars across the bridge in the Death Star. Both teams, Axis and Allies, going at it. And it's anybody's game at this point. Like you said, DarkSide winning the war because they continue to hold back the incoming Allies. And the DarkSide Axis medics doing their job for Das Führer and for Mother Germany as the battle continues. 6:55, Wonderdog on the clock. And the battle rages on.
You know, with the game still going on, for those of you that are counting in IRC, that is one Star Wars reference so far. One Star Wars reference for Warwitch. If you're keeping IRC, take votes now to see how many times he will reference Star Wars during this match.
Stay on target.
Only you could actually get a 1944 Axis versus Allies gunfight into the world of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. All sorts of gunfire happening around as the Axis players are doing a great job of controlling all the entry points into Tower number 1. They're controlling the route from Tower number 2 through the northeast tower area. They're controlling the north bridge, and they're controlling the north tunnel area. They're also controlling Zone 3. The Allies are getting the airstrikes now, but it's enough damage to clear out the INI who is hanging out and keep out any form of Allied and
defense. Several Allies have attempted more than once to gain restricted access to the Axis base, but each time they have been denied and their passports have been revoked. Incoming Allied airstrikes by the fuel tank, the trucker itself. The Allies now moving to the Tunnel Odette, bouncing like skittering American rabbits, throwing grenades up into the high rafters. The airstrikes clearing out the Axis defense. What a crime. The Axis continue to fight, firing down from the bridge itself. A series of Leutnants and medics doing the job and trying to keep it secure. Allies now striking from every front. They're coming from behind and they're coming from the side. And thus far, however, DarkSide is able to hold off the incoming abusive waves, one after another. DarkSide and their medics keeping their Leutnants and Soldats alive and dropping the necessary packs to keep the defense tight and secure. Back to you.
Again, here they come, this time coming mostly from Tower 2, trying to come overland. They control the northeast entrance towards the boxed-in area just off to the east side of the bridge. And here come more airstrikes now. The Abuse team now starting to concentrate on trying to control that Axis reinforcement, barracks, and garage area, trying to control the Axis spawn. And here come the Allies now across the bridge. It's Code Red being backed up by Cancer along with Method. they've got a 3-2 advantage on I and Shogun for DarkSide, who are just chucking grenades in there like it's paper, trying to take out the enemy and waiting for reinforcements as quickly as they can, but unable to do so. They are unable to get across, trying to defend over on the tin roof. It looks like Shames is there, and he's going to respawn and get back into the action. Shaftian now back on top. 3:44 left to go. It looks like unless the Abuse can get a good push here from either direction, either Tower 1 or Tower 2 or their allied spawn, it is looking like DarkSide is going to walk away with a full 15 minutes to get both objectives to tie it up 1-1. Back to you.
Now keep in mind that DarkSide was able to destroy both of the Axis radar stations in 2:13. Now Abuse beat that time with a time of 2:09. However, that is not happening this time around. And what this means to me is what we talked about. DarkSide has a fluid, shifting, random type of defense where they are able to adjust. No true set positions. They know where they should be in specific situations, but they utilize a very chaotic form as opposed to an ordered form of defense. And this, I believe, Wonderdog has allowed them to adapt to the incoming abusive offense, and that demonstrates why in this particular round, Abuse is not able to destroy both objectives, whereas in the first round they were able to beat the time and do so. DarkSide understands this now and knows what to do. Incoming airstrikes are just annihilating the Axis, but the Axis are back in position on the bridge itself very quickly because of the assistance of medics such as, trying to get a lock, Sergio, a medic for DarkSide, working his medic magic and keeping the action alive. All you.
Now here comes the possible opportunity. Lantern is somewhere around radar 1. He's Sergio, and Shaftian is also dead, but they have no engineers nearby. They're waiting for an engineer to get into plant. Code Red, Citizen is down. Citizen is ready to plant, and he's able to get the plant with 1:55 left to go. They finally got the push they needed. What worked for them this time was one lieutenant came from the Axis, or from the Allied spawn directly through the North Tower, and then they immediately sent the rest of the team through the Tower 2 Northeast Tower route. The Allied players are pushing, the Axis players are pushing to get from their forward spawn.
And here they come.
Defend Jones, jumping like crazy, trying to defend Jones and Valdez. No, they are unable to do so. They get blown up, but boy, do they have time left on the clock, Warwitch. 13:34 to win the round.
What an amusing sight to see three engineers leaning over the grenade, or rather the pack of dynamite, only to have it explode and take them out. Now, Wonderdog and I are going to take a momentary break. 13:34 on the clock. This is Abuse's chance to score, but DarkSide has got a lot of... We're going to find out here as the battle continues to rage on, and we head off to our in-field reporter. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hello, BBC. Winford Vaughan Thomas speaking with Herbert Walden recording. That's the sound of the first sounds of our own attack, and it's a sign that the usual night raid on our position here is coming in. Right above us, the sky has suddenly become as bright as day. The German flares are burning, hanging almost motionless overhead in the night sky, and a shower of glittering silver light coming down from them. Here on the ground, we feel as if we were standing under the flares on a fairground. Every tree, every house seems clearly lit up, and our old flak is getting furious and fierce. First bombs going down is away to the left of us, but even back here the ground around is shaken viciously, and Walden's recording truck is now rocking on its springs.
RTCW.
Return to Castle Wolfenstein.
Here on TSN.
An incredible amount of listeners dialed in for the matchup of your dreams. The battle on the Beachhead here tonight. We are in game, and the game is on. Wonderdog, all you. Here we go. And it looks like I may have lost Wonderdog. Let's find out. Let me check the IRC. See Wonderdog value. Just in time, however, there is a delay in the game of 60 seconds, so this enables me to disembark from Wonderdog, and it looks like my cable might be acting up just a tad. Very quickly looking out there in the channel, hoping that Wonderdog will join me here in just a moment. 47 seconds until the game begins. Standing by for any word from Wonderdog, and it looks like we may have lost the Hound. Well, I am no stranger to solo shoutcasting. There we go. Try to track down where the phone is ringing. And the phone is ringing, and I'm trying to answer it. Are you there, Wonder?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Apologize about that.
Not sure what
I was just
happened.
taking a quick washroom break and didn't need everyone to hear it, so
Okay.
I figured I would mute myself.
And now 300 listeners know that you were just into potty. Well, guess what, Wonder? It's all good, because there was a slight delay on the game itself. About a 60-second delay, and what that means now is the game is just now underway, so it all works out with about 13:34 on the clock. Here is the rundown for you. Abuse on the Axis defense. They were able to destroy both objectives in 13 minutes and 34 seconds. Keep in mind again, DarkSide able to destroy both objectives in 2 minutes and 13 seconds. That gives them approximately 6 or 7 attempts at their former score. Wonderdog, you've got a lock in the action. Your thoughts? Pick up the fun.
Here we are at tower number 2. Dynamite blinking at both sites, coming in from the lower and upper regions of the inner compound. Cancer now is making a rush to try and take out Valdez, who is trying to make a rush to the northeast compound, but he's unable to get too far. Airstrikes being called in, Shaftian down by Citizen. Using the old airstrike support fires, there's a duel down below. Lantern winning over Shams. As I keep saying Shames, I'm pretty sure I'll say Shams more than I'll say Shames tonight. But so far, DarkSide unable to get in and take out tower number 2. They're rushing now to take back the spot. Cujo dueling it up with Valdez, Sergio, I, and Valdez and Shogun there as well. For DarkSide coming in from the upper area of the compound. Cujo chucking in grenades. This is a great strategy to just use massive amounts of grenades and stop DarkSide from even coming close from moving through that tower area. All sorts of medic action as I see Valdez and Jones being repaired. Now taking the forward area, trying to get out onto the balcony that leads into tower radar number 2. Back to you, Warwitch.
The Axis team right here, the Abuse roster, laying a heavy spread of Axis love and defense here on the radar station 02. And wise for them to do so, for this is the route in which the DarkSide allies have chosen to take. Now both teams have faced each other off right here in the hallways and the storage chambers that lead to the secondary radar station, and it looks like the Axis Abuse team is going to come out on top. 11:09 remains. Abuse has just got to hold off the tide of darkness for 11 more minutes, and if they can do that, they are going to get themselves another point and bring themselves up 2-0 against the DarkSide team. Now Abuse in the hallways. Incoming Panzerfaust right there finds no target because the Leutman get a lock on him. Cujo from the Abuse team wisely steps aside, but incoming allies, Wonderdog, you can see them rushing in a mad vanguard. A phalanx and incoming American blitzkrieg as you pick up the action on radar station 02.
Well, they finally got the push that needed out from the bottom. They got some airstrikes coming in, all sorts of dueling. Jones now trying to take out a couple of players, but he's got a medic right behind him. He runs in and out of the area. He's going to try and get a plant down now, but he gets blown up. Jones was taken out by Rimshot, who has rejoined the server, and the Dynamite's going to fade into oblivion as Rimshot's also down. If the allies are able to rush back here quickly, they're going to be able to blow this tower, as most of the yes, it is, Shaftian has come in and gets met by a nasty Panzerfaust. by Citizen.
He certainly served his country well, and we've got a double dynamite plant. Incredible. We missed that. A plant on tower number 2, and then almost simultaneously a plant on tower number 1. We've got Citizen, a Soldat, and Cujo over here on tower number 1 for the Abuse team, but they have no engineers in position. They are quickly running out of time. Grenades are exploding. The south radar station goes down in a plume of smoke, looking for the engineer. No engineers in position, and this spells disaster as the north radar station goes down, and DarkSide on the Allies take the point. That's going to be a point right there for DarkSide, Wonderdog, and that should bring the score to 1-1. How do the standings look to you?
It is indeed 1-1 for DarkSide and Abuse. A great job for both teams. They're going to ask for a small 10-minute break while both teams regroup. And everybody laughing at me in TSN, of course, because that's how it works, and they're going to have a little fun. For those of you who are talking in TSN and mentioning, hey, here's the score, I can update you before the TSN guys do. Don't. It kind of spoils the intrigue and the action to let people know that a certain team has won before we've even announced on air that the dynamite has been planted. The reason for the delay, of course, is the fact that we don't want teams to be able to use our broadcast to properly or to improperly influence the match, and so we add a little bit of a delay, a little bit of a buffer for those of you that are connecting. And so we would ask that you would not go and spam the score in TSN or in the other team's channels as well. We know there's a lot of listeners who are wandering around. Once we announce it, go ahead and say, hi, I knew all along, I was refreshing the server, etc., etc., etc.
Wonderdog, you know, you talked about a break, but it looks like the match is going to begin. What's the rundown on that? That's the shortest break I've ever seen.
There was a 90-second break, apparently, not a 10-minute break.
There you go.
Okay, that's fine by me.
Big difference between 90 seconds and 10 minutes. Go ahead, Wonder.
The Abuse team is now back on defense, Warwitch, and they're moving underway. Again, DarkSide has proven very, very forceful when it comes to their offensive attack. Abuse knows what they're going to do. Here they come, rushing up as quickly as they can. A couple of forward forces. Shogun taking out himself and Rimshot, it looks like. They are absolutely getting creamed by a number of players. There's been a few med packs being thrown down by the boxes off to the side of Radar 2 as the Axis continue to try, or the Allies continue to try and push in towards Tower 2. What's happening on Tower 1?
Well, the incoming DarkSide Allies really putting a lot of pressure on Tower 2. I am now in Tower 2 because Tower 1 is just a realm of Axis silence. Saw 1 or 2 defenders, but now it seems the majority of the action happening here in Tower number 2. Let us move into the hallways as the Allies come in. The incoming DarkSide Allies pouring like a wave of darkness indeed, fitting their name. There's Jones, the engineer. He's going to try to get inside. Not sure what happened to him. He was making his way to the radar station and then abruptly vanished in a plume of blue smoke. That can mean probably only one thing, but Shafty, an engineer, is there. He's taking machine gun fire behind the secondary radar station, and a medic sticks a needle in the back of his head. That's definitely not a way to go. Axis, a very cruel and heartless team. He's down. A very dominant control here. DarkSide has got control, and it looks like we're going to get the plant. However, it looks like the dynamite has been dropped by the engineer in front of the actual radar station. Is it going to actually trigger a plant? No. Shaftian drops the dynamite right in front of the radar station accidentally and is not going to be able to get the plant. He's going to have to wait 30 seconds, and this is going to cost the DarkSide team. Back to you.
Valdez is able to back up his friend. I've never seen anyone do that. He tried to jump into the doorway, hit the side of the doorway, got stone cold right outside, just hit it and stopped, threw down the dynamite, and decided, nah, well, I'm going to plant it anyways. So the dynamite's been planted with about 15 seconds left to go before this one blows. Looks like all of the active players have fallen back to Tower 1 with 12 minutes left to go. DarkSide proving very, very formidable on offense as they push towards Tower 1. Back to you.
Tower 1 is now the focus of the attention as the Allied team disable the secondary tower and the transmission continues. The way incoming, nice, incoming. DarkSide get a double plant, and with 11:53 on the clock, I do not see how the Axis are going to disarm it. DarkSide in supreme control of the primary radar station. Leutman Cujo coming out trying to keep them at bay, but he's going to get shot down, and it looks like it's going to be a clock-setting moment for the DarkSide team. Wonderdog.
And you're absolutely right. There goes North Tower 1 with 3 minutes and 27 seconds left to go. It looks like DarkSide has handed Abuse a little bit of a gift. They apparently they thought, well, we know you can set it in 2:17, so we'll extend the time a little bit and see if we can get you making some more different mistakes. Again, what it's coming down to now, Warwitch, is that both teams have seen each other play now, these sides, twice. And so they're able to expect what's going to come. Abuse has tried to throw in a little bit of a different strategy as they were able to try and set the time to beat in round number 2, and everyone swarmed Tower 1 instead of Tower 2. As Jones waves to the fans listening in number TSN, the Team Sportscast Network, Warwitch, the favorite. I had to work it in. If you can work in the Star Wars,
that's right.
I think we can work in that, and that's all I'm going to say. Back to you.
Well, a quick sounder, 16-second station ID.
Tonight, Das TSN brings you
RTCW.
Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Battle on the Beachhead. Dial into all the action, tsncentral.com.
And with the game start in 15 seconds, with the teams being arranged as follows. DarkSide now Axis D. Incoming Abuse, the Allies. The time to beat 3:27 on the clock. The fastest time Abuse has had thus far, 2:09. Wonderdog, it is within the realm of the possibility of Abuse to be able to pull this off.
Absolutely, and if Abuse is able to do that, then they get to try and set the time to beat for DarkSide, which gives them an incredible advantage and a real up on the motivational side. DS has held them before, Tapper mentioning it. This next round, round 6 as we call it, is going to be the next one, is going to be a very, very important one as DarkSide tries to buy a huge amount of time as Dynamite gets thrown in. It runs around the stick of Dynamite into the forward box area. Jones using the big Venom cannon, shooting in on tower number 2, trying to take out some of the Allied players coming in. Cancer and I dueling it up. I, the medic, repairing his buddy Valdez. Back to you, Warwitch.
Right here in the act. That is taken down. He had himself a Venom. And as he is down, his body twitching on the floor, the Allies, Abuse are rushing in. We've got Medic, or rather Method the Medic right there, taking some heavy artillery fire from below as the Axis now are rushing up the stairways. The first one to go up the stairs, I, the DarkSide Medic, now in position to fight off the incoming Allies. The battle is raging in an ice skating rink of death here in the Axis base. There's blood on the walls, and it looks like both teams neither really have control. They're lancing back and forth with each other, and the medics are doing the primary duty, but it looks like the Allies are going to come out on top. Abuse right there with the dynamite plant. 144 remains. They have a chance. Wonderdog right here. They've got the chance. If they can take down this station and primary station number 1, they can beat the time and get themselves another point. Back to you.
Well, Valdez is right on top of this glowing stick of dynamite on Tower 2, and he gets the diffusion that they needed. Valdez made a run for it. He decided to take a risk and make it go down, and he was able to do so before the tower was blown up. It's going to buy DarkSide the time that they need. 1 minute and 10 seconds left to go. They're going to get the plant down again. Rim shot now running in, but now Abuse is being a little more cautious. There's a plant at Tower 1. Over to you, Warwitch.
A plant at Tower 1, a plant at Tower 2. This could be a point right here for Abuse. 54 seconds remains. All that stands between a DarkSide point is what they can do right here. There's the defusement with 46 seconds remaining, and the Abuse team still has time. 41 seconds. South Radar Station is down. 38 seconds, and the clock is continuing to count down. 34, 33, 32. Here come the engineers, and now the time has passed. We're at the point of no return, and it's going to be a no-go. It looks like DarkSide is going to get the point on this matchup.
Well, the Axis team of DarkSide were able to recover from what looked to be another near loss of the round. The Abuse team came in with 9 seconds left to go and got a plant on 2 and a plant on 1. The Axis team obviously communicating, everybody to Tower 1! Tower 1! Schnell, schnell! And they were able to get in and get that diffusion, and they couldn't beat the clock, and that will give DarkSide the 2-1 lead. Abuse switching to the Allies.
We're going to be back in just a moment. Once again, in-field newsreel action brought to you by the TSN Propaganda War Office. Axis Radio. Be back with more TSN.
The show for us began south of Cone, where the Poles joined up with us. When we began moving forward, I heard a lot of the lads say Rommel's on the run. But I'd been at Alamein, I knew he wasn't on the run. And they was right. There was nothing lovely about the battle south of Cone. No pincer movements, no outflanking, no nothing like that. Just an hard, bitter, bloody slogging match. We had to stay there and give as good as we got, even if we couldn't give better.
You're dialed into TSN. You've got Wonderdog and Das Warwitch, your Axis Shoutcaster Wonderdog with 10 seconds remaining. Let's pick up the fun as you take us away into the land of Nazi-held Germany. All you.
A quick shout out to Lehman and Jaster, who have casted over 40 matches between 128 teams for the BoB tournament as we are underway. DarkSide now on the Axis team. Once again, DarkSide being led by Valdez, Sham, Shogun, Sergio, Jones, INI, and Shafty. And over on the Abuse side, we've got Cujo, Code Red, Citizen Lantern, Rimshot, Method, and Cancer leading the charge. Here comes the DarkSide team tossing grenades in like it's paper once again, trying to hold off the forward attack force of Abuse. It's Jones and Valdez, engineers who are using those 8 or 16 grenades total, I should say, to their advantage. 2 of them are down now. Jones is down, along with another player, but they're being revived now by one of the medics from the Abuse team. As more gunfire takes off, Citizen and Rimshot are still there. Jones dueling it out with them. Citizen and Rimshot fighting it up hard, and take it down. 2-1 battle inside the tunnels in the inner compound. Great job, and now Rim, it looks like he's bouncing back and forth between 99s again. He's back down to an 82 ping, but I don't know if he's left the server or not. All the action so far seems to be on Tower 2. Anything happening on Tower 1?
On Tower 1, all seems to be quiet, so the action currently facing us here is on Tower number 2. INI, DarkSide Medic, now on the railing outside of the secondary radar station, facing off against another incoming Abuse Medic. It is Cancer and INI facing each other, and now we've got another Medic, Cancer, and Friends Method facing off against the Axis defense. Axis fighting hard, but it looks like it is Citizen with the pliers, and the plant is down. Dynamite in position now on radar station number 2. 30 seconds now on the clock, and it's only a matter of time until the station goes down. Keep in mind, again, DarkSide is up 2-1. DarkSide on the Axis defense, Abuse on the Allied offense. DarkSide favored on XSReality.com to win the game tonight, and thus far they are proving this to be true with a 2-1 lead. Now the Allies, Abuse, are in control of radar station number 2. They are standing guard, waiting for it to explode, and there it goes. The station is down, and the radar dish no longer turning. Wonderdog, you and I, let's focus our eyes on radar station number 1.
Well, I'm over here on the northeast tower where the 3 defenders who had got the initial plant on Tower 2 for abuse are now rushing through Shafty and tried to take one of them out with his Panzerfaust, but accidentally shot himself in the face. But the Axis are now in control of Tower 1, are in their camping positions, and are looking strong. And this is where Abuse had all sorts of difficulty the last time, Warwitch. You'll remember back in round number 2 when the Abuse tried to set the time on the clock, that they were able to blow Tower 2 quickly, but it took almost another 12 minutes for Abuse to get in and blow Tower 1, and DarkSide was easily able to get in and take out the towers in the time available to them when they switched sides, and that's what got them their round win. So far, it's tied up 1-1. This is round number 3. Side number 1, first time they're going to try and set the clock. 11 minutes, 30 seconds left to go. And the Abuse players are starting to press through Tower 2, as that's what worked for them last time. Take it away, Warwitch.
Base-to-base, bunker-to-bunker combat here in this Axis-held fortress. They are fighting once again machine gun fire across their trenches here on the second stories. The 2 teams battling it out for domination of the final radar station. 11-11. The transmission continues, and it looks like the team having a little trouble. Rimshot having a little trouble. 999 out yet again. This could cost Abuse. And they're going to have to alter their strat slightly, as he is likely going to drop from the server and bring in a ringer or another player for the Abuse team, rather. It is definitely a situation that is going to cost Abuse cause them a little trouble, Wonderdog, on the Allied offensive. Back to you.
Here comes an Allied airstrike in from the north tunnel area. Gates open, and there it is. 3 players down by looks like Code Red and Cantor doing the shooting. And here comes more players now as we wait for the Allied attack. We've got 2 players on the tin roof. It's Shams and Jones, and I believe I have said Shams more than I said Shames, so I think that's probably correct. At TSN, we are reading impaired. If you can spell your name phonetically, we can pronounce it more accurately. That's how it works.
A quick rundown here for you.
And the rest of the Abuse team coming through the northeast compound. Warwitch, take it away.
A quick rundown for you, and the action continues as the Axis team hold it down, but it's a battle on the crates and barrels right here. Citizen engineer firing from the crates themselves, rushed by the entire Axis team, and the Axis are going to take the victory in the hallways themselves, now storming out Blitzkrieg style into the buildings and bunkers. And Code Red, Lieutenant right there, takes the Panzerfaust, tries to leap aside, but the Panzer catches him in the legs and blows the legs clear off at the knee. Oh, fatal war wound right there. A quick clarification, I mentioned the term ringer earlier. That is a mistake, not the term I meant to use. The Abuse team will need to bring in a sub. Just for clarification, should this recording try to hunt me in the days to come. With 9 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock, Abuse is once again down 1 man, and Rimshot in spectator mode. Abuse now dropping those airstrikes and trying to gain the base penetration they need. It is a vital situation for them. They've got to set the time as early as possible for the defense, in which they will soon be playing. Back to you.
Well, what has Abuse not been able to counter yet is the defense of Jones and Shams over on the tin roof facing the northeast compound window. Lantern dueling it up now with Jones, but Jones coming out the victor. That is what's really hurting Abuse's offensive strike here. They keep coming through Tower 2, and they gain the northeast compound on the open roof area between the 2 buildings. But they are unable to take out Jones. Now Valdez is there backing him up. Sergio has switched positions and has come over onto that tin roof to try and take him out. But so far, the Abuse players have been unable to get across that bridge, have been able to get through the north tunnel towards Tower number 1. They have been unsuccessful doing what worked for them in that second round when they needed to set the time. They are going to have to think of something very, very quickly. DarkSide's use of grenades also being very, very effective in this round. Warwitch, back to you.
A very interesting form of drama unfolding outside of the action. In server, we have 2 rim shots. That's right, not 1 but 2. OG admins in team chat asking just how many rim shots are we gonna get here. 2 rim shots in game, both in spectator mode. And here's the rundown for you. If Abuse Wonderdog, if Abuse cannot set the clock here, then it's a victory for DarkSide. That's right, 7:18 on the clock. Abuse needs to set the time, and they are down 1 man. That's going to make it even harder for them, and it's time for Abuse to shine as they go head-to-head with DarkSide. Back to you.
And that is the most difficult thing of online gaming, and the most problematic is the fact that you got your best players trying to get into the game, and somebody's internet connection decides to go down. Somebody local on your node decides to go download the latest in porn and flood your connection. Gotta love that. It can really impact the sport quite a bit. DarkSide being very accommodating, saying, hey, we need to get these guys back here, get this guy back in. They are holding both entrances very, very well, and as you said it, the pressure is all on Abuse with the score tied. With the lead now with DarkSide's hands 2-1. If Abuse does not set the clock here in the 6 minutes and 15 seconds left to go, then that means that Abuse can only hope for a tie in this next round, and that is not good enough to win. Although now Zay, the chief admin for the BoB tournament, is saying they can choose to replay this round with a full 7-on-7. So this could be very, very interesting. Trying to get in and set the time, as here's all sorts of action around the tower. Back to you.
The tower itself is a mass of explosive action. The machine guns are just literally splaying their bullets into the air and bodies everywhere. Now the Allied team are taking many different directives and routes, trying up the front and through the sides, down through the bunker areas, O3 and more, trying to find the kind of penetration they are looking for to get them inside and near the tower itself. But thus far, the shifting and alternating Axis defense is able to sway. Incoming Allied airstrike now on the bridge itself, not going to take out any of the Axis. The Axis this time are wise and step aside. Allied airstrikes continue and then depart, and here come the Allies. We've got Code Red, a lieutenant, Citizen, the engineer, and then further back, Cujo, the lieutenant himself, and it looks like they are all going to get either shot down in the field, gunned down, or Panzerfaust down into the grave, and that's all she wrote for that incoming wave of Abuse Allies.
Well, Zay now correcting herself, saying it's really going to come down to what DarkSide wants to do. That's who she meant by who can actually replay this round. If DarkSide chooses to, they can replay the round all together with a full 7-on-7, and hopefully Rimshot is able to get back to the server and play the full extended round. We'll see what happens. All sorts of dueling now. 3 Abuse guys go down to the Panzerfaust.
And Rimshot with the possible plant pick up Station 01. Wonderdog, you're going to see some action. We've got the dynamite plant, and this could be at 4:23 on the clock. You have got to admire the Abuse team. Down 1 man. Their strats are now changing. They come in, they get the plant, they fight like hellions themselves, and now they've got the plant. But here come the Axis rushing in, trying to make the disarm, and they've got the disarm. Shafkin and friends right there, disarm, just then taken out by a grenade, but the disarm is made, and that's what counts. 4 minutes on the clock.
And here comes more dueling as Sergio takes out a few incoming Allied players. 4 rushing from the bottom, Citizen and Cujo coming in from the north tunnel area. Shaffian trying to take them down and unable to do so. They're trying to rush in. Shaffian now coming in from the great ramp area back up into the spawn area, getting some health packs from his friends. They've got all sorts of medics and all sorts of engineers, DarkSide does, who are camped out very, very well in the proper positions. Jones is in position. This is very, 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 very close. 3 minutes and 21 seconds left to go. This is about the time when Abuse set the clock before and forced Abuse to try and beat that time, which they did on the second set of rounds. We'll see what happens. Back to you, Warwitch, as here come the Allies.
Now we've got the DarkSide defense on the rooftops themselves, on the shed, and they are spread thin across the rooftops. They are looking out for the Allies across the battlegrounds of the barracks on the lower floor themselves. They've got their eyes peeled to every possible incoming location. They've got the bridge and the tunnel of death covered, and thus far their defense is holding as they are crouching and returning fire to the Allies that are rushing in from all sides. Lantern, a medic, is there, trying to fight his way through the hallways, meets a grenade as his only friend. We've got Method, a medic, making some revivals, now being charged by the incoming Axis. The Axis is going to get shot down, machine gun style, by a crossfire of the Allies that now control all the buildings and structures leading up to the primary 01 North Radar Station. Now, as you can hear the machine guns going off, it is simply a matter of time. 214 Abuse once again need to make the plan. They've had one attempt here to almost take out that primary station, but it was disarmed, and the dynamite being disarmed meant that their hopes are beginning to fade with 2:02 remaining. TSN, my name is Warwitch, and you've got Wonderdog, the Canadian Wonder, as my co-caster. Back to you.
Over here on the northeast tower area, leading up from Tower 2 towards Tower 1, the Allies are rushing through as quickly as they can. They've got a team of 3, Cujo, Cancer, moving through, sorry, a team of 2, I should say, Valdez, planting some dynamite in that area to try and slow down any offensive strikes. Code Red coming in through the bottom and gets taken out by I&I. And the dynamite ticking away closely inside the northeast tower complex. That was planted by the Axis players to try and slow down any attacks. Rimshot now coming in. Got to stick a grenade. He throws it behind him to try and slow down any pursuit. Rimshot now meeting up with Shams. Shams getting the victory on that one-on-one battle. Sergio coming in from behind, catching him in a crossfire, looks like, and taking them out. 1:02 left to go. We've got 30 seconds, and I don't think Abuse is going to do this, and we'll see what DarkSide decides to do. The tension and the drama is there, Warwitch, unless they can get in and get this plan. DarkSide will either walk away with a win or decide to replay it. That's according to the OTL admins that are with us in Observer. We'll see. 40 seconds left to go. Take us home, Warwick.
40 seconds remaining. Allied strike incoming down the back pathways from tower number 2. They meet the MG-40 that cuts down the incoming Allied assault. The Allies are now gunned down and not going to get past the MG-40, which is deserted. 21 seconds remaining, and the hopes of Abuse have just faded. Down the drain they go, and the Axis going to be victorious. And that's right, the black banner of the Axis team going to be flying high as DarkSide looks like they're going to take the win here, but we're going to find out if DarkSide's going to choose to replay the map in favor of allowing a 7-on-7. Either way, Wonderdog, it is a fair victory, and the choice is theirs. We're going to find out about that here in just a moment. Wonderdog, keep your eyes fixed on the server. I'm going to grab ourselves a quick break with another in-field report, and we'll be back in just a moment to let you know the final ruling.
In the spring of 1944, over Germany, the Allied pilots shot down 1,300 fighters. Now, the bombers could concentrate on the river bridges and rail yards in an attempt to keep the Germans from moving supplies from Calais to Normandy and from Paris to the sea. The attack fighters were out to destroy anything that moved.
Oberkommando der deutschen Wehrmacht ist bekannt. Die große Schlacht in Belgisch und Französisch Flandern geht mit der Vernichtung der dort im Kampf gestandenen englischen und französischen Armeen ihrem Ende entgegen.
Welcome back. Wonderdog, our Canadian Shoutcaster here this evening, has been in server with the team. And what is the final ruling from DarkSide?
Well, here's essentially what's happening right now. For those of you who are just tuning in, where the heck have you been? And secondly, let me update you on the status of what's going on. That we were in a tie. DarkSide had the lead 2-1 heading into the next round of AD stopwatch type action, with Abuse needing to set the time. They were unable to do so, and one of the factors, this is not all of the factors, mind you, but one of the factors is the fact that Rimshot, a player from Abuse, was unable to stay connected during the entire round, playing 7-on-6. What the OGL admins have said is that they would allow the round to be replayed if Team DarkSide said it was okay to replay it. And they have said, and I will scroll up in the console chat so I don't miss anything here, no replay. The game was legit. DarkSide won it fair and square. Abuse is not contesting. DarkSide continues on in the tournament with a win of 3-1.
Congratulations to DarkSide. The win in position. Off they go to the final dance of death in Axis vs. Allies Battle on DOS Beachhead Tournament. Abuse. What a game. A fine game indeed. Wow, Wonderdog, what a show. And what an interesting controversy there at the end. Definitely always fun to be involved in the intrigue and politics that unfold an RTCW. But I've got to say, the diplomats that are the OGL admins handled the situation well, and we've come out with a victory for DarkSide.
What was interesting to me as I look back on my keys to winning: don't panic, hold the approach to the objectives, and plan for anything to happen. We saw anything could happen tonight. Round number 1, where DarkSide started off as the Allies, they set the time to beat with just approximately around 2 minutes and 13 seconds or so. A great time, all sorts of pressure on Abuse. They could have caved, but like the elite team that they are, they came back and won the round, beating DarkSide's time of 2:13 with about 9 seconds to spare. It was a great strategy and a great well-executed plan for Abuse. They took round 1. Heading into round number 2, Abuse was the team to play the Allied side, and that's where they got caught up in a little bit of a problem. DarkSide, letting them have tower number 2 very clearly, after about 5 minutes to go, settled back on tower number 1 and executed a superior strategy of defensive positioning and camping key defensive positions, and did not let the Allies come in and plant until there was only about 3 minutes left to go, which left 12 minutes on the clock for DarkSide to beat, which they were able to do in about 5 minutes. Then the problem started for Abuse, as they were unable to keep their players connected. DarkSide came in, Abuse was the team that had to set the time going into round number 3, the set number 3, and they were unable to do so. Rimshot, the player from Abuse, was unable to stay connected a number of times, but don't let that take away from the superior play of DarkSide on defense. Warwitch, on player-to-player dueling aspect, when we're talking skill versus skill, these teams were very evenly matched. We saw them come through, medics repairing players, getting them up as quickly as possible, getting them back into the fray, where one side would have the advantage for a few seconds. Quickly they would go down and the other team would have the advantage. There was a dance of death many times at both towers. But what won it for DarkSide was their ability to hold off Abuse. They were able to hold off the approach to the objectives. They executed a well spread out team. They didn't all camp around the Tower 1 itself. On both times they were able to hold off the allied team of Abuse, and they were able to reinforce each other well catching the Allied players in great strategic pinpoint crossfire action, which won them the game from the round and won them the ability to head on into the BoB tournament.
That's right, into round 6 they go. The map likely to be revealed very soon. We've left behind the Elite 8. Now it's time for the Fearsome 4. Very soon, the battle on Das Beachhead will be over, and only one clan, one team are going to be the victors. Are the Allies going to ensure that history is going to stay the same, or are the Axis team going to rightfully rewrite history? Jawohl. We'll find out as the battle on the Beachhead continues in the coming weeks. Check out our website, www.tsncentral.com. You can find us, #TSN, in the ETG IRC channel. And Wonderdog and myself gonna touch base in IRC, find out what the teams are up to. I'm gonna play a little tune for you. It's gonna be the theme to DarkSide and Celebration. And we'll be back with more in just a moment.
Yes, the moment of release was, without any doubt, the greatest in my life, and in the lives of all my fellow prisoners of war of Offlag 12B. We were standing at the edge of a slag heap in the little railway town of Lollar, a few miles north of Gießen, when the great moment came. It was epitomized by a great cry of the American tanks, a concerted shout which went up in English, French, Russian, Polish, Dutch, Italian, German, in fact in almost every conceivable language, from the packed group of people from every corner of Europe and the British Empire to whom the arrival of the Americans meant deliverance. To us of Offlag 12B, the senior British officers' camp in Germany, which included 11 brigadiers, it meant the end of a long, weary term of imprisonment dating back to Dunkirk days for some. To the French, Belgians, Dutch, Russians, Poles, and others, it meant emancipation from slavery.
Slowly but surely, the bad news from overseas improved. As America's industrial war machine supplied the materials, Allied troops began to turn the tide of war. By 1943, plans were underway for an all-out invasion of Nazi-held lands on the European continent. Allied planes made bombing runs that saturated Germany, Austria, and occupied France, smashing cities, destroying factories, railroads, canals, U-boat holding pens, and over 100 other targets.
That's right, we are live and we are back. The matchup tonight that you have all been waiting for was predicted correct in favor of DarkSide. The dark side of the Axis forces are victorious. The goggles have done something. The Axis take the win, and the banner of Daspia will fly on high tonight. The Allies defeated, well, you know, both teams, the Allies and the Axis, but being the Axis Shoutcaster, I like to always pump up the Axis a little bit, Wonderdog. You know how it goes. What a game, what a show.
And then there were 4, Warwitch. We are down to the final 4 of the BoB Battle of the Beachhead tournament, brought to you by a number of players. The OGL, Activision, ID Software, Speakeasy, Grey Matter, Nerve, and NVIDIA Graphics offering up some of the super prizes. DarkSide taking the victory from Abuse tonight by a final score of 3-1. And their job doesn't get any easier, because next is a team, again, that should be very, very close to the votes. As you were mentioning before, 64% for DarkSide, favoring that they would go ahead against this Abuse team and go on in the tournament. The vote should be even closer for next week's matchup, which could be one of the matches of the tournament, where DarkSide has to take on Death Touch.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. I am going through my IRC channel, trying to filter out the thousands of messages that I currently have, and I don't seem to be having much luck with the somewhat silent DarkSide team. It seems like they like to take their victories and then return to their cavernous stronghold of darkness, their tower of sinister shadows. Not to really say much about the victory. I'm not having much luck thus far. And, well, you know, I've got a post-game interview with you, so that works for me. Very quickly.
Oh, great. I am the Canadian favorite. Hey, is that U.S. currency there? Wow, what time would you like your breakfast, sir? Anyways, we want to give a few shout-outs from the DarkSide team. Congratulations to those who won, particularly I, Valdez, Shafty and Jones, Shogun, Surge, and Shams. Good games to Citizen, Method, Lantern, Cancer, Cujo, Rimshot, and Code Red from Team Abuse as well. Sergio wants to give a quick shout-out to Buddy Lee, so fulfilling that obligation there. I have to admit, this match lived up to its expectations as DarkSide set the time to beat, and then Abuse comes and beats it, and takes a very, very early 1-0 lead in the scoring, which must have very much surprised a number of people, because DarkSide is a very, very strong team. Yet then you flip it around, and what really won the game for DarkSide was the fact that they were able to hold off the Allied attack long enough on when the Abuse team tried to come in and set the time. They were able to buy enough time, confident enough in their offense, that they would be able to beat any time that Abuse set for the time to beat. And that's what really won it for them. They had superior defensive positioning when it came to Tower 1. They weren't caught off guard getting back into position in any of the rounds, except for when they lost that first round, and that was the key. That is what won them the match and allows them to continue a very, very good games. And I'm looking forward to next week, when we have 2 more matches coming up.
Well, next week, you can count on Wonderdog, you can count on myself, Warwitch, and you can count on Coldshot and Boomerman to bring you the final action of the Final 4 as the battles continue in 1944. Wonderdog, I'm going to do some shout-outs here. Any final shout-outs you'd like to do as we wind things down and prepare for a potential RTCW DarkSide interview?
Absolutely not. It's been a pleasure to be with you once again, Warwitch, and this is Wonderdog, the Canadian favorite, signing off.
Wonderdog, take care. Fantastic Shoutcaster, the Strat Master. A couple things I'd like to pimp very quickly. If you're looking for an awesome pickup game, the place to be, pound RTCW Pickup. I hang there. A lot of great names hang there. And I can't tell you how many times I have witnessed some fantastic pickup games. That's the place to be. If you're tired of newbies like myself as a casual player, don't get around me with Panzerfaust. I'm dangerous. then that's the place to hang. Pound RTCW, I can't even remember. What? The Warwitch is sleepy. Pound RTCW pickup. Look at all these IRC messages. Let's go ahead and filter through those, shall we? Here's something else for you. Now, we talked a little bit about Excess Reality and their polls. There's another place that I go for my polling information. I do a lot of research pregame, and that place is www.cached.net, C-A-C-H-E-D. You can check them out. They've got a very cool little Wolfenstein poll section. So if you're interested in polling the teams and finding out who you think the other listeners and other viewers and other players are going to vote for, make sure you head on over there. Definitely a cool website. This is the sound of me reading my PMs. Messiah of TSM would like to shout out to Abuse, and a shout out to Das Runt and Mollusk. Very well. Sergio says, sorry I have no mic, it would be futile. Indeed, it would be futile for him to actually try to sign on and assist me in a post-game interview. Moving right along. DS Jones seeking someone maybe to hop on air, not sure yet. Proceeding ahead. Congratulations again to DarkSide. Not even Thorin could truly decide who was gonna take the victory, and a little bad luck for Abuse towards the end. But such are the favors of war, such is the way things go in combat, especially online. Once again, here in the background, the DarkSide theme song. And here's the rundown for you. Make sure you idle in pound number TSN. You never know when a match is going to break out. And I believe right now on server number 2, we've got some TWC Tribes... can't even say the word. Tribes World Championship action. So shortly I'm going to relay you into that. And in the recording... Final numbers tonight dialed in 260 listeners, which exceeded my expectations by a solid 60. The day will come, I promise you, 500 listeners or more. Just takes time. Want to thank you all for dialing in. You are what makes TSN special. We're glad to be here. Very new to RTCW. And on that note, I think it's time for me to say goodnight. I'm going to make this recording available to you on the TSN website, www.tsncentral.com. Good night, and mad props to DarkSide.